What are the primary areas in which NTPC is?
Sir, primarily two areas. Skill development of underprivileged in the nearby areas of its township.
What three major changes you would like to change?
The major challenges that is faced is Bihar society is deeply fractured along the caste lines. The voting and the settlements and every social activity happens along caste lines very strongly.
Name few disasters which are related to NTPC.
Yes, sir. There are three. One was in 2017. We had a boiler explosion in the 𝐒𝐢𝐽 plant. Second and third relate to hydro projects of NTPC. The latest is the Joshimath episode where NTPC has been named as one of the causes of the subsidence. And 2 years back it was the Tapovan project, sir.
So which problem will it solve? You said three problems: funds, functions and functionaries, right? So which problem will it solve exactly? Digitization?
For example, there is a birth or death registration. So currently the paperwork entails many days of work, registering and then forwarding it to other higher level offices. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Back please.
Thank you, sir.
Rahul.
Yes, sir.
Rahul, you had made it to the final list in 2020 in ES.
Yes, sir.
Right? So what was the service that was offered to you?
Sir, I could not be allotted any service because the Railway Medical Board deemed me fit for non-technical posts. And
Okay, because of eyesight issues.
Yes, sir.
And then you decided to work on civil services.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But what about NTPC? NTPC did not find you medically unfit?
No, sir. At that, when I joined NTPC in 2016, the medical board there did not find me unfit.
But what was the reason for the problem in case of Railway Medical Board?
Sir, the visual standards required for technical services, 6x6 and 6x12, in their investigation, they found that I did not meet the required visual standards.
Even with correction classes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And NTPC did not have any such problem?
No, sir.
Okay, great. And you have been at NTPC Shaktinagar only ever since you completed your training with NTPC?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Good. Savitri. What does the word Savitri denote?
Sir, the word Savitri denotes a mythological character, a woman who was devoted to her husband, and she fought the god of death to save her husband's life. So she is denoted as the epitome of loyalty towards husband.
Right. Any modern day Savitri or the present day Savitri that you have known? The name Savitri?
No, sir, I'm sorry. There is one, but she is named Savitri Bai Phule.
So Savitri is there, no?
Yes.
Who was she? Who was Savitri Bai Phule?
Sir, she was a social reformer belonging to Pune, Maharashtra region. And she was the first women educator of India who opened up education to school-going female kids. And also she did a lot of social service in terms of plague which spread in Pune at that time.
Is there anything which was set up in her memory so that her name is always in news? I mean, her name is always remembered?
Sir, I know of a college which is named after her, a university.
Okay.
Savitribai Phule University.
So that's in Pune only?
Sir, I'm not sure about that.
Maharashtra, obviously, yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, if you look at the present day women, is there any person whom you connect, not the women, men or women, anybody, who has been doing pioneering work in the direction of educating the masses? I'm not restricting it to educating the girl child, but educating people, or let's say promoting education in the rural areas.
May I please take a minute to think about it? Sir, I'm sorry, I'm not able to recall a particular name in this field.
You are aware of the CSR initiatives of various organizations?
Yes, sir.
Have you come across any organization whose CSR initiative is focusing on education?
No, sir, not specifically.
Okay. What are the primary areas in which NTPC is contributing to in terms of their CSR status in there?
Sir, primarily two areas. Skill development of underprivileged in the nearby areas of its township, the plant areas. And second is the female education through the Girls Empowerment Mission. It is basically a 15-day or a 13-day training program given to them in terms of IT, basic education, basic literacy missions. So these are the two primaries.
Basic literacy, not in terms of making them employable or something.
No, sir. The age bracket in which the girls are taken in the program are 7 to 14. So
7 to 14.
Yes.
Okay, right. At the plant where you are posted, what is the major thrust area? These two only, or is there anything else which is being done?
Sir, apart from that, there are episodic events of distributing of clothes amongst the poor and other items. Apart from that, there are donating ambulances, installation of water taps, or water tanks installation. But the major focus which keeps on highlighting are these two programs.
These two programs. Okay, right. Shaktinagar. Where exactly is Shaktinagar located?
Sir, Shaktinagar falls in the district of Sonbhadra, which is the eastern UP, the Purvanchal area, and it is bordered by 4 states: MP, Chhattisgarh, West Bengal, and MP, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, and it falls in UP. Sir.
Okay. So 3 states.
Three states.
Bordering states. Okay, right. So what is the installed capacity of the NTPC power plant where you are posted?
Sir, it is a 2000 megawatt plant.
2000 megawatt plant. And composition?
Sir, the composition is 7 units, 5 units of 200 megawatts each, and 2 units of 500 megawatts each.
7 units of?
7 units in total, 5 units of capacity 200 megawatts, and 2 units of 500 megawatts.
Right. Is there an advantage when we are moving from a unit of 200 megawatts to a 500 megawatt unit in terms of operational efficiencies and also the cost?
Yes, sir. In terms of operational efficiency, the closer we go to the critical point of water, the higher heat, we operate it at a higher efficiency and a lower heat rate correspondingly. And in terms of cost, the cost of electricity per unit increases compared to the lower megawatt units. But the increased operational efficiency compensates for it in the longer run.
When you say, but can we not be designing it for operating at the same level where we are able to achieve higher efficiency in terms of the boiler design or in, using the water at that temperature and pressure which you mentioned?
Sir, that would be constrained by metallurgy and the auxiliaries required for operation.
Okay. Right. My last question relates to what is the total installed power generation capacity in India?
Sir, as per the CEA report, as on 31st December, 409 gigawatt, 409 point something gigawatt
right,
is the total installed capacity. Sir.
And out of which, what is the contribution of the renewable energies?
Sir, approx 160 gigawatts.
Approximately 160 gigawatts. Okay. And what is the average PLF of the thermal plants that we are able to identify? Is there some statistics available or only statistics related to NTPC is available?
Sir, the overall PLF of thermal power plants stands approx 55 to 60% in the range of 55%.
But why is it so low?
Sir, there are the major reason has been the integration of renewables in the grid and the thrust provided by the government as part of its climate commitments to have more of renewable energy in the energy scenario, as well as mechanisms such as renewable purchase obligations and the must-run status given to renewables, which mandate that the electricity discoms buy power from the renewables on priority. Other than that, the PLF is also low because the emission norms could not be met by power plants established 20-25 years back. So we are gradually phasing down we are retiring those power plants which are not meeting the emission norms.
But are we reinstalling the new equipments there, or are we just closing down those power plants lock, stock and barrel?
Sir, this has been dealt in 2 ways. One is retrofitting of devices which comply with the emission norms, such as flue gas desulfurization or for NOx emission, we have a particular term I am not able to respond. And then commissioning of higher megawatts unit, which operate at the supercritical units, which comply to emission norms as well as operate at higher efficiency.
Right. Good. So,
Rahul, can you
recall someone with your name Rahul from the Buddhism, which has impacted a lot of people in India.
Yes, sir. Rahul is the name of the son of Siddhartha Gautam, Lord Buddha himself.
And what was his contribution?
Sir, for
Buddhism.
Rahul's contribution, sir, I'm not sure about his contribution.
Okay. See, whenever we have this Rahul name in our mind, the one thing which clicks to our mind is that most of the times in Bollywood movies, we find that Rahul as, a guy with the energy, the romantic guy. So what do you find yourself? A romantic one, or what you are in just one single word?
Sir, not romantic, but not nerdy as well. I am the best of both, I would say.
Okay, best of both. Okay. Let me know what is the difference between manager, administrator, and a leader, and what you are.
Manager and an administrator, the basic function is resource allocation and optimum utilization of the resources that they have. Whereas a leader basically represents the voices of many who are unheard at higher echelons. If asked which would I choose, I would more connect myself with leadership rather than a manager or an administrator.
Then why are you coming to become an IAS officer, working as a, rather than you should have contest the elections, be the leader of the masses? Don't you think that you are wasting your time, or you find yourself diverted?
Sir, because leadership is also one of the essential qualities of a civil servant.
Very good. Okay, see, we witness lots of flood issues always there in Patna, right? So why can't, if you become a IAS of the Patna district, how would you like to tackle this challenge?
Sir, this can be separated into two things. One is the short-term mechanism and the other is long-term solutions. In the short term, we have to focus on structures such as embankments and run of the channels, wherein we need to provide water its natural path. We should not block its waterways so that it doesn't spill over the embankments. And in the long run, it would be focusing on capacity building of the existing officials who are into the executive arm, like the disaster response forces or the executives in the administration field, as well as sensitizing people to use and not encroach upon the environmental space. For example, not practicing agriculture on floodplains or not building houses or shelters in the run of the river pathways.
Can you recall certain highways projects that are being taken place in Bihar at this moment?
So there has been expansion of highways in terms of the 4-lane expressways.
Any specific name? Highways, expressways, any other infrastructure project that is a major project which is being going on in Bihar?
I'm sorry, sir, I cannot recall.
Okay, what is generic medicine?
I'm sorry, sir, I
What is generic medicine?
Generic medicines, yes. Generic medicine is basically having the same key essential pharmaceutical ingredient, the key active ingredient, but the formulation is such that it comes at a cost efficient price. The margins, or it is manufactured so that the customer receives it at a lower price compared to other formulations.
Okay, very good. See, if you given a chance to recalibrate the structure of the modern Indian society of Bihar, right? Only Bihar. What 3 major changes you would like to change? I used the word modern Indian society in Bihar.
The major challenges that is faced is Bihar society is deeply fractured along the caste lines. The voting and the settlements and every social activity happens along caste lines very strongly. So the first change I would say is encouraging and educating the masses, increasing the literacy rate so that their thinking and their vision goes beyond the caste-based mandates. Second would be upskilling them because of the lower skill levels, they are mostly treated as migrant laborers who do not have opportunities in Bihar and they migrate out to work in different states. And third would be looking inward, finding solutions such that increasing the industrialization and investment in Bihar so that people who are skilled in my second solution get enough opportunities to work in their state itself. So this way the social problems would be solved in a big way.
Very good. See, do you think that women should be given 50% reservations in the political system in India?
Sir, it has both pros and cons. Pros would be empowering women who have been underrepresented in our modern democratic institutions. Even the current parliament has only 24% of women representation. compared to Nordic countries or other developed nations who have almost 40 or parity level representation. But then the con would be this would lead to something sort of a mechanism such as we see panchayat husbands, like proxy sending female representatives as a proxy for their male counterparts, which happens at panchayat or block level institutions. So this change should be done from the bottom up rather than a top down approach. And also the figure of 50% should be well thought out, in the sense that we can start a pilot scale project, increasing it gradually till we reach a 50% mark.
Okay, if you've been given a chance to implement this model in Bihar only, then how would you like to tackle this challenge?
Sir, Bihar is the first state who gave 50% representation to women in the Panchayati Raj institution. It was the first state. And given a chance, I would go for implementing this even in the Vidhan Sabha, the state legislative assembly. Apart from this, not only implementing, I would also conduct a citizen outreach program specially aimed at females and their males counterpart to encourage them to participate in democratic institution election, and not only being used as a proxy for their male counterparts just to fill in the gaps. It should come, women empowerment should come from within, not forced from outside.
Do you believe in equality?
Yes, sir, I do.
Do you practice equality?
Yes, sir.
2 examples. One from the working, one from outside of your working culture.
Sir, in the work, we have female engineers, and in terms of equality, we never discriminate between them, or I have...
Purposefully, what specific to you, which shows that yes, you practice equality?
Sir, I would say that in terms of troubleshooting, I sometimes find female engineers having a more logical approach. So given a choice about whom to connect for troubleshooting, I sometimes prefer calling them, because my experience with them has been more coherent. Other than work, I would say that, like for example, traveling in metros or bus, I find that certain coaches or certain seats are reserved for women. But I also see women traveling in unreserved coaches as such, and I always give them the seat if required, if they are pregnant or carrying luggage.
Good, sir.
Rahul,
Yes, sir.
there are so many other Rahuls who are famous at international and national level. With which Rahul do you connect your personality to most?
Sir, I connect myself more with Rahul Dravid.
Okay. Why?
Sir, I find the qualities in him, I try to emulate his qualities, such as patience, perseverance, and hard working in silence.
Okay. You said while troubleshooting, you find that women employees are better than their counterparts. In what fields do you think they are not as good as the male counterparts?
Sir, it would be difficult to point out, but in terms of where we have extraneous physical conditions required for work, such as labor or let's say ships or exploration activities, sometimes because of the biological constraints, we do not find them as effective, although the modern representation giving permanent commission to women in the army or the recruitment companies do not differentiate, the barrier has been decreasing day by day.
We have seen, particularly in the state of Bihar, the status of women is very poor, very low. What are the reasons for this?
Yes, sir. The statistics such as high total fertility rate or lower literacy rate, all of these point out that the social status of women is low in Bihar compared to the other states, as well as the average of the nation. The major thing that I would point is two. One is, one is the lower literacy rate. The literacy rate in Bihar for women is 51%, while the national average is 64%. And the second reason is there has been caste-based inhibitions or reluctance of people to send their girl childs to schools or other development institutions. So these two problems combined give to all other social problems, sir.
Okay. Rahul, your school name is St. Karen's. Who was St. Karen's? I've never heard of.
Sir, my school was named after a character in a book named Karen. She was a girl who had the problem of cerebral palsy, but because of the support of her mother and her family, she later on went on to become a very famous author. Okay. So the patron of my school, the play is based in Romania, and the patron of my school has his roots in Romania. So inspired by the book and the character, he named it as Saint Karen's.
Okay. So is it a missionary school? A convent
Yes.
school?
Yes, sir.
We see there is a vast difference in education, especially comparing the government schools with missionary schools. So what can government schools learn from these missionary schools so that the quality of education in India can be improved? We know the quantity wise numbers are increasing, the enrollment ratios are high, but I'm sure you know about the quality of education also.
Sir, this has to be dealt in two aspects. One is developing the infrastructure. The missionary schools have better infrastructures compared to their government counterparts. And second is the quality of teachers which are there. So we have to attract the best talents in government schools currently because of the location aspect.
Rahul, I'm sorry, but I think in government schools, these teachers have passed many exams and these are more brilliant than teachers who are teaching in these convent schools.
Sir, my view is that yes, the qualifications and because they pass through a competitive exam, we can say that yes, government schools has a better set of teachers. But then even missionary schools choose or rather recruit their teachers through a very competitive process wherein they are equally highly qualified. So I do not, although I see that both of them are equally well qualified and well placed, but then the focus of education in a government school diverts from just education. The teachers are many times found to be included in other ancillary works such as surveys or sensitizing people in other election duties. Whereas teachers in missionary schools, they are 100% focused on their job. So this might create a ripple down effect.
You've worked in NTPC. Can you name few disasters which are related to NTPC, which have happened in recent decade, in last 10 years?
Yes, sir. There are three. One was in 2017, we had a boiler explosion in the 𝐒𝐢𝐬𝐷 plant. Second and third relate to hydro projects of NTPC. The latest is the Joshimath episode where NTPC has been named as one of the causes of the subsidence. And 2 years back it was the Tapovan project, sir.
So, do you think we need to change our planning of NTPC? I'm talking about the thermal power plants particularly. That there have been problems in the planning of the NTPC projects, particularly in the Himalayan regions.
Sir, as per the planning part, the hydro projects have a very long gestation period, their construction, and because of the displacement needed for installation and commissioning, they take usually 10 years to start the generation, right from the DPR report till generation. Along with that, it requires a lot of environmental and other clearances from various ministries. So, in the planning phase, everything is dealt on an ideal basis. And there are situations which are sometimes uncontrollable. For example, the avalanche in Tapovan Vishnugarh last year was not part of its planning. And maybe we could have dealt with it in a better way with respect to structures which are more disaster resilient. But especially in terms of hydro projects, I would say that apart from planning, there are uncontrollable factors at work which hamper the efficiency or the time taken to commission the work, sir.
Okay, Rahul, thank you for answering.
Rahul, you were talking about the problem of panchayat buddies.
Yes, sir.
There are other problems that are facing the panchayati raj system in India, which is making the third tier of our federalism ineffective. What are the challenges that you can think of?
So, three major challenges, funds, functions and functionaries. One is the lack of devolution of funds and the lack of ability of Panchayati Raj institutions to realize its own revenues. It is mostly dependent on states and center grants for its work. Second is functions. It has not been given enough autonomy or enough work area, in the sense that whereas it has been given, the Panchayati Raj institutions do not have enough functionaries or the manpower resources required to implement those functions. So in these three aspects, we have not seen effective decentralization of democracy.
What are the subject matters that have been transferred to panchayats in case of Bihar? Few subjects that you can recall of.
Sir, I'm not sure about the subjects.
It's okay. What reforms you can suggest, like which are practically feasible, right? Because every reform is not politically implementable as well as not even administratively feasible, right? So tell me some practical reforms to solve the problems that you suggested.
So two major that I would like to point out. One is increased digitization and e-governance initiatives in panchayats. So we have this BharatNet project in which the Panchayati Raj offices have been connected to high-speed internet through optical fibers. So that would bring governance at that would bring effective governance because there is a lack of computerization and automation in basic village level offices.
So which problem will it solve? You said three problems: funds, functions, and functionaries, right? So which problem will it solve exactly? Digitization?
Sir, functions. For example, there is a birth or death registration. So currently the paperwork entails many days of work, registering and then forwarding it to other higher level offices. Whereas if we connect it through modern digital means, it would happen online and it would happen like almost instantaneously. And the second would be creating a structure for recruiting officers into specific cadres which are deputed into working at Panchayati Raj institutions. Currently, we have state PCS and officers appointed by the UPSC who work for some years in that cadre and then move on ahead in cities or so. But we need to create an effective manpower, an effective force which understands the grassroots level problems and solves them in a better way.
So are you suggesting a new exam for Panchayati Raj Institute officers in the third tier?
Yes, sir. Through state PCS, through state commissions, we can have a separate exams for which appoints officers to them, sir.
So which won't be promoted to the state level forever? Because currently the situation is like that. We recruit there, but we promote them, right?
Yes, sir.
To the state level. So you are suggesting to have a set of officers who will forever work at the grassroots level and they won't be promoted to the state level, right?
Sir, maybe not officers, but then graduates or not officers as such, levels, recruiting at levels below the officer level, like I'm not able to find an exact term, like assistants or, workforce which can...
It's okay. One of the social changes that you talked about when you were asked about three changes that you would like to see in Bihar society, one was ending the caste discriminations, right? So there are two famous approaches in Indian modern history. When we read the modern history, there are two famous approaches. One is of Gandhiji's and other is of Baba Ambedkar to tackle the challenge of caste discrimination. Are you aware of the difference in the approach?
Yes, sir. The basic element of difference was while Gandhiji upheld the Varnashram, the four Varnas, he said that the problem does not lie in the four stages, but rather the work assigned to them should not be based on the birth itself. The work should be based on the profession he carries. Whereas Honourable B.R. Ambedkar, he attributed the entire problem of social discrimination on the caste or the Varnashram system itself. He said that because of the discrimination allotted to a person at birth, he or she receives a lifelong deprivation of opportunities.
But how did they, what was their plan to tackle this discrimination? You explained me the concept, but how did Gandhiji thought of tackling this challenge? Because he was opposed to the discrimination, right? He favored the Varna system, but he was opposed to the discrimination. So what was his plan to tackle the caste discrimination?
Sir, while Dr. Ambedkar favored a separate electorate system for their social upliftment, while Mahatma Gandhi favored for a common electorate with reservation for the socially underprivileged in a common system, both of them converged in the Pune Pact where they agreed to have increased representation. Sir.
Okay, I think you are slightly diverting. I'll tell you. Baba Ambedkar said that favored the annihilation of caste, and Gandhiji said that caste is an identity and it will remain as a fact. Just focus on caste discrimination. So which approach you would favor?
Sir, I would favor Mahatma Gandhi's approach because caste in Indian society is very deeply entrenched and we can have caste without caste discrimination that would solve the problem, sir.
Okay. Last question from my side. You play chess, right?
Yes, sir.
The game of chess is very similar to the game of real life. Assume that the Prime Minister is king. Then who should be queen in your opinion?
Sir, in my opinion, the Deputy Prime Minister would be the queen. But currently we do not have a deputy prime minister. So
Then what's the
Who
point?
could be designated as the deputy prime minister in that case if you don't have a DPM?
sir, it is difficult to point out to one person who would be. I would say the external affairs minister for external affairs would be the Queen.
Minister of?
The Minister of External Affairs.
Why?
Because of the diplomatic importance that India is having, the G20 presidency, and the diplomatic relations have been on the rise for the past 10 years. So the importance of diplomacy is the reason why I choose.
Why did you choose minister? Why did you not choose minister, home minister?
Sir, it was a tough choice, but
Okay.